Well, tubers, we got some winch trucking to do today. I got a stuffing box we need to change. All right, so I had a bunch of people ask me, they want an update on the well with a small block Chevrolet as a weight, and this is going to be this video. We got to change the stuffing box. That's the main project of the day. We got to put that stuff where that stuff is there. Well, also, this thing kind of needs looked over. We need to go over it and grease it, probably make sure all the bolts are still tight. It's been running, I think it's been more than a year. But basically, we overhauled this thing, brought it down here, set it, worked on the gearbox. I think I might have actually put a gear in it or something. I don't remember. Rebuilt all the bearings, and hauled it out here and set it. Kind of turned into a mess. I did a really bad, gross miscalculation on how much weight this thing needed. And when we first fired this thing up, I don't think I had it on video, but when I first fired it up, the whole thing reared up and went forward. And this stuff was brand new, and it bent just first rattle out of the box. Anyway, we may try to straighten some of that stuff out, but I'm gonna get some of the links in this of those videos and put them in the description, and I may try to put a card up there. But anyway, we've got to change out this stuffing box. This is an old style box known as a Skinner box. This piece here, this big nut, screws down onto the body. This body here is full of rubber, and as you screw this down, it mashes the rubber and swells it out and seals against the polish rod, the brass part right in there y'all will see shortly. That is the kind we're going back with. It's a newer style. I like these work good, but that's just sort of the standard, what everybody kind of wants today. And so that's what we're going to use. And the benefit to those is the rubber in them are there's a lot more volume of rubber, and so they'll go a lot longer without having to actually change the rubber in them. Anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about thread real quick. So part of the problem when we tried to hang this on, it was a kind of a mess, is this is all backwards. Generally this stuff is on top. This is called a red head. This is top of the liner. Generally this is on top of the red head. Then you got the bridle and the clamp. But we didn't have room, and this is all just really close. It's just wasn't ideal. It didn't work well. That's one of the reasons all this got bent. Is we got a female pumping tee, so we're going to break this collar, and the pumping tee is going to screw directly on here, so we'll gain this much extra space here. But I want to talk about threads too. So this has got a line pipe thread. This is like the thread on a nipple you would buy at Home Depot, as is this, and of course this is a 1-inch. The tubing is 8 round. It's 8 round 2 3/8 EUE, and that means it is an upset. If this was clean and you could see it, the thread, the tubing OD actually gets bigger right at the threads, and this gives you a thicker part where the thread goes. And so what you can buy, this isn't real common, but it's available, and it's what I always buy. A lot of people don't use it. Is you can buy stuffing boxes that's got the same thread as your tubing. And that's what this pumping tee is. It's an 8 round pumping tee. And so you can see, since the OD of this is thicker, but the idea is about the same, it gives you a much thicker wall at your thread. It makes all this stuff last a lot longer. So the first thing we got to do is tie onto this thing with a truck, and I think I might need to pull up a little bit. We're going to pick the weight up with a winch truck. This is bent, as I said, because we screwed it all up when we tried to turn it on last time. If it wasn't bent, we would be able just to tie onto this liner and slide this liner up over the polish rod, and we wouldn't have to pick all this up out of the well. This being bent, there's no way it's going to move, and so we've got to pick all this up. We'll have to unseat the pump. The fluid that's in the well is going to fall because we're going to, unseat the pump out of the bottom, and then we'll have to pull it all the way out and unscrew this polish rod. It's the top piece of the rod string. I'm gonna stick you over here somewhere and get after it. I didn't screw on there very far. I don't particularly like that. I don't think I got a rod tap. particularly like that either, but that's what we're gonna do. All right, let me go pick up on it. The next thing we got to do is break this collar off the tubing. And it's put on there with a machine at the pipe yard, and it's going to be stupid tight. How freaking bent that is. I didn't realize it was that bad. I may have to just throw that away and go get a new one or something. I don't know. That wasn't too bad. That winch made it look easy. Okay, so now I got to pick it up. Hopefully I got enough. The truck's tall enough to get that polish rod all the way out of there. If not, we'll have to set it down and get another bite. Fat boy's out of breath. So I was actually already pulled into the top of the pump. You can see there when I started pulling on it, it kind of popped loose and got lighter. So we're going to throw a elevator on there, set the weight back on the tubing. We'll break this right here, and then we can swap everything over. trick is going to be, actually, let's turn the rod string, maybe. I've got to unscrew this, but there's nothing up on top of the truck that swivels. See, normally on a well service rig, you got a hook and a swivel up there, so you can just turn this. All right, let's hang it back on the wheel. I want to make sure the liner's stuck down far enough in the rubbers in it. I believe it does, but dang, it sure is close. This again is one of those projects where nothing really works right. Alright, so I like to think that I'm not an idiot, and I like to think that I'm reasonably competent in what I do, and this morning certainly challenged that idea. So I went and bought new everything. We got a new liner, new polish rod. I'm gonna pull this crap back out of here. In my defense, generally when you do this with a winch truck, you don't have to pull the polish rod out. You just simply unbolt this liner, strip the liner off, and you just pull everything over the top of the polish rod. Since these two are bent, they're not going to come apart, and so that wasn't an option here. But I went and got some more stuff. I went and got a rod hook. It'll swivel. And I spent a freaking hour on this stupid thing trying to get the threads to work. It's better. Let's try this whole project over again. We're basically going to start over. is where we should have sort of started. We could have just tied on this and pulled the old liner over the top. But since it was bent, we couldn't do that. We are back to where we need to be. Both of these polished rods are the same length, they're 11 foot. I don't have a tape measure, we can measure with something. If we measure this distance from here to there and put the liner back where it was, it all should work right. Looks like a measuring tape. So it needs to be, the top of it needs to be right there. Alright, we're done with the waste truck. I'm going to pick my tools up, the ones that go in the truck, and take his truck back, and we'll get my pickup with an air conditioner. Give this thing about an hour. We unseated this pump so all the fluids fell out of the tubing, so it'll take it a while to fill the tubing back up. I'll come check it. We'll come by tomorrow with a grease gun and grease it, check the oil, and kind of look it over. Alright, well, I'm still an idiot. I made another mistake here. I was ready to go home. There's a piece of rubber in here, and this screws down on here and seals this liner to the polished rod. And we didn't tighten this up, and it's leaking. Sprayed some water on the ground, and it's going to be kind of a trick to tighten because we can't turn the liner now because this is under the liner head. Anyway, I want to think about this, see what we can do here. This thing hadn't got a dipstick. We'll just pull the top off, make sure it's got oil in it. It's actually a little bit low. You want the oil just to touch that gear, and it is. It doesn't have to touch that gear. It will oil completely off this big gear, but if it touches that that gear, it tends to sling more oil up on everything. It doesn't look like it's leaking, so I'm going to say it's probably good. I would like to grease it. Well, tubers, I was going to grease this thing. I got my grease gun, but I forgot the battery for it. I got a Milwaukee electric grease gun. I'll come back and grease it tomorrow. I need to actually go through there. It's time to grease all of these and kind of look them over. I'm done. This should have been a morning project, turned into most of the day pain in the butt. Day's over. Appreciate y'all watching. Like, share, subscribe, and all the good things. Get a thumbnail picture here, and I will catch you on the next one.